Yeah. So the immersive film, I should say, was directed by Ptolemy Basu and CJ Clark. Ptolemy was born and brought up in Kolkata, which is where my family are from. And she is a renowned artist and human rights activist and works with themes around feminism. And that's very central to her work. And working with feminist issues is very central to my work as well. So that's where I felt that there was a great link between us and, the fact that we're both Bengali. And so I know that she was instrumental in helping to repeal a law which banned women from sleeping outside of their villages in Nepal. So her work has really extended beyond her artistic practice. But yeah, we do know that period poverty exists around the world. It exists in the UK. In Scotland, they're very progressive. Any public toilet you go to, you can get free tampons and free sanitary products. Even when I was at the train station, you go to the train station and free tampons and sanitary products are available, which was completely mind-blowing to me, being born and brought up in London. But yeah, the immersive film was really there to highlight those issues and to help people to understand. Obviously, we're seeing everything through the lens of the schoolgirl in this film, but it's all art is really there to raise the issues around the world. Yeah, and I think for a long time, obviously I can see on my social media that every day I'm seeing incredible artists, incredible musicians, really brilliant creators as well online doing stuff. But for a really long time, I just didn't know. I had this yearning that I really want to connect with other artists of my own age group. In my early 20s, I studied the sitar in Delhi with under the tutelage of Gaurav Mazumdar, who is one of Ravi Shankar's senior disciples. So I was studying in Delhi, and this was just at the beginning of the internet era where you'd still have to go to internet cafes to to connect with your friends, and that kind of connectivity, I was yearning to meet other artists like myself. um and so this project, especially with it symbolically being the first ever original score that I've composed and produced, the fact that it's with another South Asian woman is amazing. And the fact that she's from Calcutta is a real bonus. So we have a kind of a shared cultural language. Um, and yeah, now as my career has progressed as a artist and composer, I'm just finding that there are so many more um like there's such talent, and that makes me really excited. I think so, yeah, because well, I went to school in London. I lived in East London for a very long time, and I think I've been brought up with a certain kind of Bengali spirituality. So I grew up worshipping Durga. We went to, all of the pujos like Ganesh pujo. Yeah, my name is linked to Lakshmi. So because I was born near Lakshmi pujo, so all of these elements have always been really big for me. Um, and so the idea that something which is supernatural or superhuman speaks to you, the way that celestial beings and celestial entities can speak humanity into you. I think that's very prevalent throughout South Asian culture. I think our mythology, our spirituality, which has spread all over the world, by the way. People people wake up and they say, "Oh, I'm gonna chant my affirmations and I'm gonna manifest things." This all comes from our culture. Do you know what I mean? It's so prevalent. Like South Asian culture is just in everything all over the world. um, that the idea that a spiritual force is speaking to me and teaching me about life, I think that's very much how all South Asians, it's we cannot help but have something metaphysical and spiritual in our lives because our culture is that. So I think all of those elements, and yeah, not to speak ill of my parents, but I was brought up with a lot of bodily shame. There's a lot of body shame around your organs, around periods, which I'd criticize because I think it's not safe. If you can't talk about sexual health, if you can't talk about the realities of being a woman and express the dangers and the health logistics, then I think you are endangering your kids. They weren't meaning to, but I think that element of shame is endangering for young women, you know. Yeah. Well, so I think it's been a life journey. So I started in my teen years as a DJ. I started playing in bands. Um, but I was also classically trained in the piano and the voice, and I was given sitar lessons, and I took it all very seriously. I knew that I was being given an opportunity, and I took it very seriously. There again, I think this is very inherent in South Asian culture to take your opportunity seriously. Um, and I had the opportunity to go to a conservatoire, which is a very hardcore classical music college. I know that my sitar teacher, they wanted me to remain in Delhi to complete my training to become a virtuosic sitar player. And I always wanted to create music which was reflective of the world that I'm living in. So I think that my superpower is the fact that I sit at a number of different cultural and artistic and musical crossroads. And I wanted to, and I still, my aim for my music is an umbrella experience where I'm reflecting all of the different intersections that I sit at. So it's been like a lifelong process for me, and that process is still extending. I'm working on a TV score and writing a lot for flute and clarinet and oboe and woodwind. Um, and I'm really enjoying woodwinds and then sitar, and then I'm doing a lot of electronic production. So I really love the element of acoustic instruments with electronic sound design and production, and I really love it. I also I find that not only NRIs, I guess we're sort of NRI musicians, but when I see musicians and DJs and people in South Asia, there's such interesting. I feel like that it's almost like a post-empire gift that we've been given. Like we're in this digital madness, and the way that we're channeling this stuff is so fascinating. Like I don't know how you feel about it, about like, I'm assuming that that you grew up in Kerala, but I don't know, like do you feel people are really communing with where we are in the world right now? Um, but yeah, I think South Asians all over the world, we are channeling this really incredible moment
Yeah,
creatively. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think so. I used to run a platform which I'm no longer doing at the moment, but it was called Witch, and that was the Women in Technology Creative Industries Hub. And for a span of about 6 years, I curated salons and festivals. I had my own podcast series. And I interviewed and hosted guests like Laurie Anderson, Imogen Heap, Hannah Peel, Gazelle Twin, and I commissioned works. There's a really fantastic Japanese composer producer called Hinakero Omori, another artist called Helena Rice, who's really big on the audiovisual music producer scene. I really, really enjoyed it. I really felt around 2016 there was I really felt that it was women, trans, and non-binary artists who were really pushing the boat in terms of being composers and musicians and performers who were integrating technology into one of the primary fields of their kind of expression. It was a primary part of their practice. Um, and yeah, someone like Imogen Heap is a great friend and supporter. She has these interactive gloves. I just saw her do a performance with her AI. She has an AI avatar who was talking to the audience while she was on stage, and that was really mind-blowing. Also, the video for Maya, She Lives Inside Me, um, has been created by it's been created through AI techniques by a really incredible half Sri Lankan sorry, just an ad block. Okay, so half Sri Lankan, half German artist called Illa, and they are known for their groundbreaking practices around creative AI, creative and ethical AI. So I don't know whether you've seen my music video, but yeah, like maybe I'll like send it in the
Yeah.
send it in the link. Yeah, but it's been created all through AI techniques on Kling and Adobe Photoshop. Superimposed with some video of me actually performing the song. So, and when you talk to someone like Illa, um, in order to make AI good, you have to do so much work that it's actually the same thing as learning an instrument or learning how to paint. If you just want to prompt something which is lazy, then it will just give you a very lazy overview in like in a matter of minutes. But if you want something which is bespoke and actually beautifully done, that's what is creative AI. And that actually very often it can take double the amount of time um, than just doing it by hand, so I think we're in a really interesting phase with all of this. I think so. I am a member of a collective called the Hard Art Collective, which is spearheaded by the musician and artist Brian Eno. Um, and I have watched his projects, the things that he spearheads, the projects that he's lit fires under. I've seen him raise millions. I've seen him. I've been to various concerts and I've been around various projects, and art and activism, when it comes together and it's done correctly, it can create change, and it can um change global infrastructure. I'm a member of the Green Party in this country, and when people come together, change really does happen. Yeah. I really believe so. I've since COVID, I've been, quietly helping activists, sort of quietly behind the scenes, doing work on social media, and it really does work. Yeah. So I worked with Sean Ono Lennon, who is John Lennon of the Beatles and Yoko Ono's son. And he's a real expert on India and Hinduism, by the way. But I think what I really learned from Sean was he taught me that I was an improviser, and he taught me that I was a natural improviser. Um, he's an exceptional human being and an exceptional music director. He's very good at making people feel at ease with themselves and opening them up. And also working with Tony Visconti, who produced the majority of David Bowie's recorded material. He was the man who taught me that I'm a music producer. So he asked me, "How do you make music?" And I said, "Well, I have a home studio. When I have my sound card and my microphone and my laptop, I have a piano, various synths, some stringed instruments, my sitar, my tanpura, my bass guitar, or I should say tanpura, my bass guitar, various other keyboard instruments, and I sort of arrange and write from my instruments up." And he said to me, "Oh, well, you're a music producer, because that's what music producers do." And I said to him, "Well, I'm worried I don't have a lot of technical knowledge." And he was like, "Yeah, but you can learn that. You can't learn what you're doing is the artistry and the ideas, and that is music production." And he encouraged me to call myself a music producer. So I'm really thankful to him for encouraging me and being a really good friend. You know, both of them have been really encouraging and really good friends to me. No. Um, I think there's still a lot of institutional discrimination, shall we say. Um, I think that can be quite hard to translate to South Asians in South Asia, but yeah, there's still quite a lot of institutional racism in this country. And so I very often get called niche, and niche is just a polite way of saying not white, which I'm not. Um, and yeah, when you look at the data, you know, there's, you know, our social media makes us feel that the world is just full of all of these incredible people, which it is. But how that then translates into jobs and sustainable careers and earnings, that's a whole other level of um, you know, it's still I think there was a USC Annenberg, some statistics that came out the other day, and in the charts, for example, there are only 0.9% of women of color music producers. So that's me. So it's like people who get into the Hot 100 or whatever the metric is. There are very few of us who get to a certain level. There are very few of us who, so I'm signed to a really fantastic publishing company here. I know that I'm maybe one of five South Asian women to have this kind of publishing deal, you know. So there are, or like, maybe there's just under 10 of us who work in classical music or in soundtracks who actually have publishing deals. And what that means is we're still in a minority and we just don't get picked as often, therefore, and we're niche. Like, do you see what I mean? So I do feel that this is a massive issue. But on the other hand, you know, like Diljit went on Jimmy Fallon the other night. Do you know what I mean? It's like, how can we be niche when like most of the people in the world live in like that bit of the planet? Do you know what I mean? I just think I just like I really yeah, I think there is institutional discrimination and racism, but there's just a big part of me that I'm just not buying it anymore. Do you know what I mean? I'm not buying this crap anymore. Like, I think there's much bigger conversations and much bigger things going on. And I feel like I get to be alive at a time when that big conversation, big shifts in South Asian identity globally is now happening. And yeah, I'm a part of that. I'm not going to reduce myself.
And I'm proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm proud of you guys. I hope to give people an experience where they can reflect and let go. I think it's so mad politically at the moment. And I think people are so overloaded that I think um, this kind of soundtrack music, which is a lot of it is going to be improvised, it's going to be quite dreamy. I hope it's a place for people to come and reflect and come together. You know, I love meeting audiences. I love meeting people. And um one of the great gifts of being a performer are the people that you get to meet. So yeah.